Let's get some background music going. That would do. That would do. Something different. Oh, are you ready for this? Let's do some magical domain modeling in PHP. Designing some meaningful boundaries, blah, 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 blah. You know, the usual kind of YouTube spiel. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you should be watching. And this is what we are doing. So, hey, Gary. So, we've got different domains in this project. With like the identity domain, that's anything to do with that user, right? It's the user account, the profile, password resets, all of that identity focused stuff. Then we've got events like PHP events and conferences and meetups and all kind of logic and modeling around that. Hey, thank you for joining. We've got content, so feeds, articles, podcasts, videos, all of those things. Community, which is any kind of social features. And then we've got metadata, which is any kind of shared references. We could call that a shared domain, a meta, a core, or whatever you might want to call it. And in the future, we're going to look at like third-party syncing with an integrations domain. So we're going to look at things like packages and stuff and syncing data across places and that sort of fun. We've got some kind of domain events we're going to be creating eventually as well. I've done some kind of database modeling already, so all of my models are here. We've got a user, a tag, profile, location, a follow, a feed source, a feed item, and a bookmark. This is basic to start with, okay? Let me come back to my media assets and don't want to loop. I want to put this one. Okay. What we're gonna do first. Okay, so we've got our models, our providers, infrastructure, all of that kind of good stuff going on. Enums, these need to be moved into the domains. All of the models need moving into application, really, and same with actions. Okay, so this would be easier in PHP Storm, but I am testing out VS Code at the minute for my kind of daily driver, so we will see. I may get completely frustrated and just switch at some point, but we'll try to stay with it. I am hopeful. I'm relatively happy with VS Code. It works, but it takes a little bit longer to get shit done sometimes, if I'm honest. We'll stick with it. We'll try. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to go, what I do in PHP Storm is just drop that there, move, bang. So then what we want to do is to double check in our factories. Okay, so all of these are going to have to be moved. Application, so we need to move all of this over there like so. Which means we also have got to update this name. This is why PHP Storm works better, right? What am I doing? I kind of forgot what I was doing for a second there. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do this. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Let's get some models in the application space because our domain code. Drop that in there too. Hello. Right, let's do a quick composer dump autoloader and see if it gives us any errors at this point, right? So far, so good. No PSR complaints. So we are looking okay. So we can close all of that down. That's fine. Now we've got actions. Okay, so Are we using this anywhere? We are in the service provider. We can work with that. So we are going to move actions into there. Bam. Inside our providers, we are going to need to go to here and do, oh, no, application, actions, like so. Move all of that. Then inside our actions, we need to just update this namespace also. And that one. That was fine. Update user password. We're going to do it there and there. Then there and there too. That, in theory, should all be fine as well. Fingers crossed. Yeah, we are looking good. So let's just quickly do a quick pint, make sure everything's tidy. Lint. We're probably going to get quite a few PHP stan errors because we always do when we use Fortify. But we'll have a look. Okay, so then in database factories, bookmark, that's fine. Feed item needs updating too. Feed source item, we've got to do that. Follow. That location, we're going to fix that one up. Profile, fix that up. Tag, and our user, of course. Import that class. Import that class. That should be fine. What we're going to do is just now we will dump. Yeah, when it comes to refactoring, PHP Storm it takes a cake, it wins. There's no doubt about that at all. 15 hours, awesome. App models user on database Cedar. Cool, on the Cedar now. Nope. Application model user, perfect. So there we go. Do that again. Awesome. Create a mixed. Just clean that up like so. That. Location factory, state, yeah, not a big deal. Expect spring mixed, blah, 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 blah. User, generic stuff. Yeah, okay. I'm not too bothered about some of this right now. It's something that I'd eventually clean. What is domain modeling? Okay, so domain modeling. Let me get some music on to make it dramatic. So domain modeling is where you would take your business model, your application kind of logic and say, okay, this is what I am building. This is what I want to achieve. How do I create this in business terms? So you take all your data models, or your events, and you say, okay, so anytime I am authenticating or logging in or registering, that is all to do with the user's identity. So that would be under the identity domain. Anytime I want to add a new product to my product catalog, that is in my catalog domain. Anytime someone wants to order something from my e-commerce store, that is in the kind of the commerce domain, or it could be in the payment domain. It could be any of those. So the whole point of domain modeling is to understand the context of everything you are building and where each part really lives. So that's domain modeling. Obviously, I've got a very basic front end so far. It just says login. That is all coming from my Fortify service provider over here. tidied this up. So this is where we're booting our views, and we've got our login view there, which we can click through and see. And we've also got booting the standard 4 to 5 stuff and all of the rate limiters, which I will eventually move out. So will each domain have its own controllers, models, and so the models, the controllers, that sort of stuff all live within your application. Everything in domain is all about business logic. So you're talking, okay, so how do we store a user is business logic. What happens when you store a user? What events are triggered? What is listening to those events? It's probably not the best to explain it, but I'm doing my best. Use cases, perfect, yes. So think of domain as a use case. So it's all about business logic, everything about it. You're structuring your domain. It doesn't rely on any application code. It doesn't rely on Eloquent. It doesn't rely on a Laravel. It's basically just like a big old PHP dump, basically. Right, so enums. We need to move our enums to a new directory. So we have got content. We are going to come over here and we're going to create enums there. And what I want to do is just copy enums into all of them, really, because I do need them. That can be moved into there. Move. Feed type is content. Visibility is all about the profile, but there could be multiple cases, so I will keep that in metadata. And that means that can go. This can also go. So then what I've got to do is come to my application, anywhere that I've got an enum. Feed source. Domains content. Okay, so that did actually update it. Awesome. Follow. I need to fix this. Use has URL IDs. The fillable stuff for this is follower ID and followed ID. Public function follower belongs to. This belongs to. Related is a profile class follower. Nope. Public function followed, who was followed in this relationship. There you go. So then on that profile, you can have public function followed. This might be better having a had many 3, but I'll come back to that, I think, and tighten up that scope a little bit later. Followers. So when you're the follower, you followed someone. When you're followed, you have followers. If that makes sense. Right, close all that down. That is all okay so far. User role has been moved. Awesome. Let's check the migrations because that is where it usually trips up. No, it did actually refactor at that time. That is awesome. I don't know what's complaining in config. That's probably the user model down here. There we go. That should fix that issue. Application domain infrastructure providers. Providers I'm going to keep out for now. That's that's there. That's staying put. Model should be strict. I'll just set that up. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's start. So what we're going to have in our content, we've got enums. I haven't got anything in events yet, but we've got identity over here. So identity, we're going to have some events. Content events, events, metadata events, and identity events. Everyone's got events. Okay, so let's walk through this. Let's walk through what we might do in this situation. So what we've got is we have got a, let's say we want to log in, right? We want to log in to this platform. What happens? Okay, so we have got to check if user exists, right? Then we've got to authentication using the provided passwords. Then we've got to, once we've attempted authentication, we basically sign user in at that point. So all of these things happen. So once we log in, we want to check if the user exists. So where are events going to happen? Here and here, really. So authentication attempt event and a signed in event. So let's go and create those. So events over here. I'm going to create one called authentication attempt. This is not what I wanted, but it's going to do it anyway. So we'll just stick with it. I don't want it to be broadcastable. Broadcasting is not what I'm doing right now. Interacts with sockets, new. Serialized models, new. Right. This is I believe this is the Laravel plugin. So we're going to have a public read-only string for the email. This is the email that attempted the sign-in, basically, or the authentication attempt at this point. Yeah, I'm giving VS Code a go just to see. Like I've got PHP Storm still. I really need to upgrade the license if I'm going to keep using it. But yeah. User signed in. Again, no, and no. So let's just go and remove that. What we will do on this one is pass through public read only user. This isn't the domain though, so we probably want to not use the eloquent model at this point. Finale. Okay, so what we're also going to have is some data objects, and this will be so let's create an identity object for a user. I think that makes sense in my brain for what I'm wanting to do. Public function construct And what we're going to have is a public read-only string ID, public read-only string name, an email. Then we'll have a role, so public read-only string, no, and a role there. So what we want in this over here is, instead of using the user model, we want to use the identity data object because we want to abstract it from the domain in reality. So how are we going to do this? Typically in DDD, we'll have a service and we'll have an authentication service. Declare that, and we'll have a public function login. We'll have a string for a username and a string for a password. What I think needs to be done here is, can you explain the benefits of using value objects? Yeah, so a value object is, it's plain old PHP object, but it's got business and behavior attached to it. So what I've got here is a data object, a DTO. If I made identity a value object, I would probably have a public function authenticate on it, or validate on it, so that it can, validate the data being passed. But I'm doing that within the application context, not in the domain context, so it doesn't matter. But you can ensure at certain points that what you've got is being sorted, kind of, if you know what I mean. Okay. I'm debating if I should pass a hashed password to this. So read-only password, and what we'll probably do is add a sensitive parameter to this, like so. So that's never logged. So this sensitive parameter here is used to mark a parameter that is sensitive and should have its value redacted if present in a stack trace, blah, blah, blah. So this authentication service now, what it can do is it can accept the identity instead. And what I will do is this then needs to come over to infrastructure. Inside infrastructure, I'm going to have identity. I'm going to have actions in here, I think. Identity actions. Eventually, these fortify things will need to be moved out of there, I think. Because infrastructure is where you're interacting with external services, such as the database, a remote file system, that sort of thing, if we want to go full DDD. I'm not 100% sure how DDD I want to take this, because Laravel inherently is anti-DDD because of active record. The way that active record works, it doesn't kind of work. So what I want to do is kind of mash it up in some way. So maybe what I should do is have actions within here. Let's just delete that for now. Move that to trash. What I'll do, I'll have actions within my identity or domain, maybe. One here, identity, maybe. How should we do this, people? What do you guys think? How DDD should I really take this? Considering we are using Laravel, we don't want to fight the framework, and the beauty of Laravel is in that rapid prototyping. How DDD shall we take this? the business logic of logging in, authenticating, that sort of stuff. Down here we can say public function authenticate, get an identity, that should return bool. So if I wanted to be like super simple about this, we can return, you grab that auth facade. I'll show you how that bit would work. We would attempt identity. Let's add a method on it, credentials, like that. So what this would then have is return an array. Email and password. Oh, what's going on there? There we go. No. Email, password. Then what we'll do, we're going to do a quick return an array where it's the email and the password. So when we get the credentials back, that's mapped to there. We are attempting. This is using the facade, which I don't want to do long term, but right now I might just allow it just for the sake of showing you guys. So then in application, we can have HTTP controllers. Actually, this is live wire, so I don't want that. Let's see. A live wire. Make what's the component going to be called? Let's see what options there are. Multi-file. I like the MFC personally. A live wire. Make auth.login multi-file component. Bang. Login.blade and the login class. Excellent. So I can drop some declare string types up here. And this is going to have a public string for the email, a public string for the password. So you're going to have a public function submit. And then this is going to say, okay, we're going to validate it. And then what the submit needs is it needs to be, well, it needs to have access to the authentication service. So what we want to say is service authenticate. Like so. Email and password. Identity, we are going to import that class and we are going to add this from array down here. Public static function from array. Okay, what's nullable? Okay, so we're going to have to make this nullable, that nullable, and that nullable. Like so. Data ID or null, like so. Right, this login down here, that's going to do that. That's going to authenticate. And if it authenticates, we are going to then do this redirect to a route called -b dashboard or home, something. We're going to redirect somewhere. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is let's just close all of that off. What I want to quickly do is see how this is all going to be put together. Oops. This is just how I configure my routing. Like so. And within there, I can have an auth.php. I'm going to declare some strict types. We're going to use the root facade. Where is that root facade? Where are you hiding? Okay, I'm going to say root. We're going to do a get request from login. And what we want to do is pages auth login. Let's see if this is going to work. Roots. Should already have the login. It does. Because that I shouldn't actually have to register that, I don't think. Let me do a quick root list because we're using Fortify as well. Yeah, we've got login already registered. So what we need on the resources, views, pages, auth, login. Here, what we want to do is have the live wire. How do we then use that with multi-files? Livewire.laravel. Let's go have a look at v4 pages. Root livewire. I've already got that. So components. That's all good. That's all good. Rendering livewire component name. Livewire auth.login. Let's see if that's going to work. If that's going to complain. No, it works. It loads. Fantastic. So that will work. What we're going to do quickly is just go to Flux UI, get started. I've already got all of this set up. So what I want is what a form, some sort of form. Actually, GitHub Livewire starter kit. This is what I want. Auth, login, this bit. Let's just grab that for now. Let's see what errors. There you go. Auth header. I don't care about the auth header right now. Auth session status. Yep. Okay. Then we've got the login.store for Fortify. That's fine. Method post. That. Checkbox remember. Login. Submit. Don't have an account. Go to register. Awesome. So that don't know where that is even coming from right now. Livewire update. It's probably because I'm on the beta version, but that's not a biggie. And this is currently using wire. Placeholder. Okay, so I'm going to have to wire this up. So wire model email wire model is password. So if I just give it the password, credentials don't match our records. So a migrate fresh seed, my database seeder. This is complaining about the user factory. Class database. Okay, so that's broken. Yay. Okay. What that means is in here on this has factory, the new factory method here is what we need to override. So let's just close that down a minute. We need that one. Return user factory let's just go try that again. App user not found in something. Database seeder. Why is that happening? Oh, that's going to be coming from Fortify. Somewhere, something to do with the event being triggered from Fortify. Ah! Okay, this is all gone sideways and backwards. Okay, so what we are going to do is how can we get around that in Fortify other than not using Fortify? Obviously, I don't know if we can, so let's do some drastic action on my other screen. Actually, wait a minute. Let's stash everything. Over d minus o. Migrate fresh seed. Yeah. Ooh, you can use that, can you? That's kind of cool. And that form's now gone. Okay, we're just gonna. What should I do? What should I do? Let's delete all of those for now. We're gonna delete things. And we're gonna move back around to it. Web roots, console roots. So inside roots, I can just over that. Can I live wire auth login? Don't know, maybe. Okay, we're just going to keep playing. This is me testing out Livewire at the same time, so I'm probably doing way too much at once. Okay, your plan. Bang. And what we're going to do is Laravel new PHP Online. We're going to go like this. There we go. We're going to do it this way. SQLite. Not the way I wanted to do it, but it's the way we're going to do things right now. Right. Fresh Laravel app, right? Let's just dump all load like that. Got a nice fresh Laravel app. What we're going to do is we are going to come over, we are going to grab enums and models, drop them in there. Okay, let's just grab the models because it works differently to PHP Storm. Then we are going to grab the database and we are going to say get rid of that. We're going to drop that in there too. Then we are going to grab these. No, I'm not going to do that. What I will do is I will grab my Pint Rector, PHP Stan, Composer, Editor Config, and README. So I can then go delete that, delete that, delete that, drop that all back in, Composer update it. I'll install all of the stuff I wanted. Awesome. Awesome. We've got a user. We close that off now. Okay, so Composer require Laravel Fortify. Inside resources views, we're going to create pages auth. Fortify scaffolding installed. Let's go copy that service provider stuff. Resources, views, pages. Let's just copy all pages. I'm going to delete that. Set views, we're going to put pages. A view clear, a config clear, a root. Awesome. Oh, okay, so we're almost back to the beginning. That was a waste of 45 minutes, but we're having fun. Oh, right. Okay, so right now we have layouts auth. Okay, I should have copied the layouts across to components, layouts, then views, component, layouts. Awesome, we are getting somewhere. Actually, yeah, that should be fine. We got a card, cool. Yeah, I never really do anything planned. I just kind of jump on and say, let's do some stuff. This is roughly what I want to do. And then, you know, we fall into a trap of, crap, that didn't work. And we go from there. Right, so let's composer require livewire pro and livewire flux. Composer require livewire for beta. We'll install Blaze as well. The Blaze is actually available. And if you're using Flux, it's kind of, it works out of the box. Right, so we've got 4 views. Nice. I don't know what's been complained on there. There we go. Right. Let's just clean it all up. Let's install Boost. Build code, Copilot. So, okay. Awesome, we got Boost. Flux. I bought Flux Pro as soon as it came out. Tell you what, let me put myself over here so you can see the code better. I bought Flux as soon as it came out. Fantastic, not gonna lie. What I'm going to do is views, components. Let's go to layouts. The auth layout. You can go for split. Grab that. Resource, views, pages. Let's go to auth. Let's just drop that in there. See what happens. See what happens if we go to, let's log in. App icon, logo icon. Okay, so we can replace this later with a logo. And we'll replace that later with a logo. Root home not defined. Roots web name home. Awesome. That's an auth layout, I think. Is that it? That's a split one. I think, yeah. Then if we come over to the Livewire auth login down here, That's all of this magic. Let's just drop that in and see what it looks like. Auth header. Auth session won't be there. No biggie. Aha. Right, so now we can compose a debit. There we go. Right. So, wire model is email. Wire model is passwords. Right, what can we do? A live wire. We want to make an auth login. We want file component. Actually, we'll go for a single file component to start with. We'll add a test. And that's it. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Right. Components auth login. So grab all of this. This is our login component. Livewire auth.login. And then we can have a public string email, public string password. Let's see what happens. Oh, doesn't match our records. Ooh. Duplicate column name. Where is that coming from? There we go. That is what the problem was. Ta-da! And that's going to redirect to home. Okay, so what we want to do is move this away from that bit there and have a public function submit going on. Right? Do that. Auth attempt that. And then what we want to do is root home. we're home now. Okay, so we've got the login through this working. Fortify is being skipped because we're just doing it through this here. We can look at changing this a little bit later. And what I saw was a Livewire convert auth.login. Bang. Close all that off. So what we now have in resource view components, auth, login blade, and our login class here. So we can, oh, look at that. That's so cool. It automatically knows what to render as well. So that's even cooler. Like this is, Livewire 4 is pretty awesome. But domain stuff. How about I just do what I'd usually do? Like that. Right. New folder, source, domains, composer, dump autoloader. Within here, I'm going to have identity. Within here, I'm going to have a data object. This data object is going to be the identity.php. Final read only. Pick that up in a minute. And what we're also going to do is authenticate as well. So what we want here is this final read only that. Instruct this email and password. Public function credentials, an array. That. It's adding doc for me when I don't want it to. Public static function make string email, string password. Email and passwords. Then what we will do is say sensitive parameter there. Then on this login over here, we're going to auth attempt, and instead of that, we are going to say authenticate, make the email is this email, and the password is this password now, and then we are going to say credentials. Oh, okay, so a slowly catchy monkey. So auth attempt, we want to do this. This needs to be hashed, really. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't actually need to be hashed. Cool. Right. We'll come back to identity in a minute. let's just wrap this up quickly. This, if no, we'll say validation with messages on the email was failed. Import that class. Yeah, so that's that bit, kind of. Right. Actions within identity. We are going to say attempt authentication.php. Public function construct private auth manager auth. Load all a return this auth attempt. The credentials are payload credentials. Mixing things up a little bit here. So then this attempt authentication needs to come over to here. So action. Bam, refactored. So now let's a migrate fresh and seed. We get a login. Tester@email.com. Password. Register match our records. Fantastic. So now if we say just std password, we are logged in. Perfect. So we are now using our attempt authentication action using the auth manager, which is obviously Laravel. Instead of having like this infrastructure layer, like Laravel is technically going to be our infrastructure layer at this point. I'm never going to switch from Laravel, so I don't need that layer of abstraction, I don't think. Awesome, awesome. So next up, what could we do? Let's come back and say, let's make a live wire make auth register. Convert it. So here's the register stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all of that and copy it across into auth register blade. There we go. And this register here can have some big types on it. It's going to have a public string name, like so. Public string email, public string password. I think it's got a confirmation. Yeah. Password confirmation. public function submit. Now I'm going to avoid it. Just validate. Email. Password confirmed. Awesome. Right, okay, so I don't know what anti-spam is. Just random Copilot drizzle. So that is all of that magic. Let's switch up the music a little bit and let's go for something like this. Feeling it? We feeling it? Right, then pages, register is going to be similar to this. Livewire register. We'll come to those later. So a migrate fresh this time. No seed, no seed. Register. This is going to say no auth header, which is fine. We can get rid of those things. There we go. We can log in, register, going between the two. Happy, happy, happy. Right. Okay. Let's start. Say Steve McDougall, just Steve McD, password, create account. Verification verify is not defined. Is that something on Fortify docs? It must be. Must be something on the docs, right? Verify email view. Verify resending. Protecting roots, middleware, verified password confirmation. Okay, so we've probably got it enabled. We'll figure that out in a little while. Okay. So what we can do is, I mean, there's this create new user action over here, but I don't know if I like it. Don't like that. No, I don't like that. I don't like it. Want something else. Do something else. Like view, components, auth, register here. Right, so once we've submitted, we're going to then head over to here and we're going to create a new user. Very similar. But we're going to have a registration.php. And read only, public function construct. You're going to have an email. Public screen email and a password. Yeah, sensitive parameter on that one. Public function. We're going to have a to array on this one. So that's drop it down to one line because nobody needs that much. Public static function make. Was it make? Did I call it make? Yes, I did. Right, make. Right. String name, string email, string password, name, email, password. Awesome. Create new user. We're going to go for the domain action. User is going to be action handle registration make. There we go. Password. Perfect. So the handle on this. Read only. Function. We're going to go to the constructor here, and we are going to say the private database manager, the database public function handle. It's going to get a registration payload, and it's going to return a new user. Then this database transaction callback is going to be user query create, where the attributes are payload to array, and we're going to attempt this max of 3 times. Awesome, awesome, awesome. What else could we do on that bit? What else can we do? What can we do? Yeah, who gave Stephen mic? Yeah, boost is pretty handy actually. So that's a registration action. I'm gonna rename that registration. And then what we can do is attempt authentication. I'm going to call that auth. Then what we can say is auth handle that accepts an authenticate payload. Got the email and password on that one. That auth handle, import that class, format that. So yeah, this is Livewire, so we're playing around with stuff a little bit. I don't know whether this create new user should do more than one thing. We might tweak things around. And we're going to this redirect route home for now. Steve McDougall. std password create verification isn't working. Something to do with verifying. Verification, verify. What is that? I'm assuming that's some form of something. There's a problem on this file. Ah, you are the problem on that file. Okay. Yes, I'm using these lightning bolts because they look awesome. It lets me know that what components are actually live wire to. So, yay. So, yeah, I'm struggling with it a little bit, to be honest. This isn't how I typically like to do everything. Yeah, not ideal. Authentication attempt.php. Let's get rid of those and this. Get rid of that. We can make it dispatchable. That's cool. Get rid of that and that. Declare string types again. Make this final. Public string. No, public. Authenticate. Payload. We're going to omit this authentication attempt from our action. Attempt authentication. So we're going to get the private dispatcher. Bus. This bus dispatch. The event is a new authentication attempt. Payload is payload. No one separates things as much as I do. I do it way too much. I'm like over separate. Okay, so this is going to leverage the dispatcher to do all of that. That's all good. Create new user. We could probably pull in the bus here too. Dispatcher bus. We can say user is that. This bus dispatch the event new registered. The user is user. Ta-da. For now, I'll do that. Yeah, I know naming things is so hard. Right, all of it's just for authentication. Like, do I really need to go this far? No. Am I going to? Why not? For funsies, right? With that controller because it's not needed. Some of these fault fire actions aren't going to be needed. So obviously I'm overwriting them with livewire stuff. Okay, so email's already been taken. I don't know where that's even coming from. That's coming from the URL generator. So at some point, now that's cool. I've never seen that. At some point, so this URL generator is being triggered. I don't know where from. I'm assuming somewhere with this. Build mail message, verification URL. Verification, verify. This is the problem. So, email verification. Let's make sure that it is enabled. App config fortify email verification. Maybe that was a problem. File engine get compiler. What? Okay, something to do with Blaze. Yeah, me and Chris are just interesting together, right? No. If you're using the action pattern, please make them invocable so I don't have to type handle. No, it is handle, Chris. You handle an action. I refuse to hear otherwise. So this whole stream has just been a lot of kind of messing around, to be honest. We got some of our domain stuff sorted. We seem to be tripping up over Fortify, and then Blaze has caused an issue. I wonder. Anything in Blaze? No, nothing there yet. So Blaze isn't quite ready, obviously. Livewire 4 obviously isn't quite ready, so we keep tripping up, but that's not the end of the world, right? I might call it there. We've done a bit of domain modeling and business logic, but not a lot. Just keep tripping up. Everyone prefers to invoke, but I refuse to get on board with that. Sorry. That is not how I do stuff at all. Yes, the podcast episode. PHP alive and kicking. This video, Chris, is what you're talking about. Look at that face. Look at that face. Let's just drop that in there. In the comments, you show it. go to that weird looking URL and go check it out. It was really fun, actually. Really fun to stream. But yeah, I'm going to call it a day there. Any more, and I'm just going to be running around in circles, cursing at myself. But let's do it again next week. What should we do next week? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, support the channel however you can, however you want to. But keep coming back. It's fun. I'll see you next time. Take care.